For you, there'll be no more crying. For you, the sun will be shining. 'Cause I feel that when I'm with you, it's alright. You know it's right. To you, I'd give the world. And to you, I'll never be cold. 'Cause I feel that when I'm with you, it's alright. You know it's right. And the songbirds are singing like they know the score. And I love you, I love you, I love you like never before. And I wish you all the love in the world. But most of all, I wish it from myself. And the songbirds are singing like they know the score. And I love you, I love you, I love you like never before.
I can see you as a little boy in the classroom were you a bit of a class clown?
Yeah, I didn't mean to be though. That, you know, it took me a while to catch on that, oh, I'm not trying to be funny, I just sort of am, you know.
Yeah.
Plus I talked in an accent like this, and my 5th grade teacher, we just moved out here from Ohio, and every time that somebody new, anybody, the principal or anybody would come into the classroom, she'd say, Billy, come up here and talk for us.
Oh no.
And she'd give me something to read. Once upon a time, there was a, and everybody's, oh my God, he's so cute. Some of the kids would laugh, but I didn't even know what they were laughing at. I was just talking, you know. It took me a while to figure out, oh, I have an accent, you know. I thought they all had accents. For sure, for sure.
I don't think that was very nice of her to set you up like that.
Well, she didn't mean to be. She just thought I was so cute. She had to share me.
You were a cute kid.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Well, you're still cute.
I grew up.
Yeah.
So, Marianna, we're going to be writing an article. So I'm going to try to get some information for that. But also, sort of on a personal note, you and I have never really sat down like this, undisturbed, and sort of gone over your life a little bit, you know?
This is your life.
Yeah, this is your life, or Queen for a Day, however you want to look at it. And there's a lot of things I would just like for you to share with me, you know?
Okay.
Like, let's go all the way back. You lived in Kentucky, right?
Ashland, Kentucky.
Yeah. I can see you with those big hats at the Derby. So what caused you to move to California?
Can I talk about when I was born?
Absolutely. Yeah, we can go all the way back. We can go to your previous life if you want.
Okay. I used to do past life regressions too, but I was almost born in the movie theater because Mother was there and she was watching Gone with the Wind, and she didn't want to go to the hospital when I started coming. And so they got me into the hallway of the hospital there in Ashland, Kentucky, and that's where I was born.
So, we were in the hospital.
Yes, in the hallway of the hospital.
In the hallway of the hospital. And this was in Kentucky, right?
Ashland, Kentucky, King's Daughters Hospital. I remember that well. I mean, where it is.
Right. So, who named you?
I was named after my grandmother and my great-grandmother, Mary and Anna.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, as a little girl, growing up in Kentucky, how was that for you?
It was fine. I had two brothers, and I was the middle child, but I wanted to be a teacher. I remember as soon as I was old enough, I got my little brother and his friends together in my first class. They would have been more in nursery school, but they acted really well in the classroom for me.
What were you teaching?
I was teaching. I don't remember exactly what I taught them. Probably listen to your teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I would have been about 8.
So that tells me, even at an early age,
Mm-hmm.
you've seen the value of passing on information. It's probably part of your nature.
Yes.
You know.
Mm-hmm. That was very important to me, and it still is. Yeah.
So what was it like growing up in Kentucky? How old were you when you moved?
Well, I was married when I would just turn 19, and I still lived in Kentucky, but we moved to Lexington, to the married student quarters of the university there. And I came to California, San Francisco. That's more interesting.
What year?
In 1964.
Oh my God. San Francisco in 1964.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
I was in LA mostly during 1964 or 5. Yeah.
Yes,
It was wild, crazy times.
it was. Well, I came to go to graduate school at San Francisco State University, and I didn't finish there. It really wasn't the best school for me,
Right.
but they had a good creative writing program that my husband at that time wanted to attend, so I came with him. And yeah.
When did you get involved in psychology?
Oh, when I had just graduated from Southern Illinois University, and I was a psychology major there.
So you went to San Francisco, then you went to Illinois?
No, I went to Illinois and
First?
and yeah, that's where I got my BA in psychology. And then I went to San Francisco to go to graduate school in psychology. But it wasn't the kind of program that I really wanted to be in.
So this would explain why you ended up going to Eselan Institute once in a while and getting involved there, right?
Yes.
Because that was at a time with Gestalt and bioenergetics, Alexander Lowen,
Yeah.
Glasser, all of these people were really coming out forceful at that time, you know.
Eselan was my real education,
Yeah.
and I went there often. And then I would come back and teach in my classes what I had learned.
Right.
So that was really my graduate school, going to Eselan.
You think the academic world was a little more open to alternative ways to do this at the time?
I was very fortunate with Butte College. They let me teach what I wanted to teach. And so I actually, sorry.
It's okay.
Um, I didn't review all this, but um,
I'm actually glad you didn't review it, because this has to just come spontaneous from you. Don't worry about nothing. Don't, you can't think of something, we'll just go on and it'll come to you or not.
well, I had graduated actually from Chico State University, and I was in a program, a couple years program in counseling psychology. But then, when I wanted to become an MFT, a marriage and family therapist, they didn't give me the kind of courses that I really needed to do that. So what I did is I went to different schools to pick up those courses. I took a sabbatical, and actually my dad had died at that time, and I needed a sabbatical.
And what year was that about?
That was in
70s maybe, or? Doesn't matter.
Well, I graduated in '68.
So it's probably early 70s.
Yes, that's what it would have been.
How did you end up in Solana area, Leucadia, Encinitas?
That was, I used to go down to the retreat there for Paramahansa Yogananda. I really loved Paramahansa Yogananda, and I had taken the classes and everything for years.
I always liked walking out there on the bluff
Yes.
there at his place,
And
sitting on the bench and just watching the ocean.
And they called that area Swamis. And so when I was there at the retreat, I could, when they opened it up, I could go and see where he lived when he was still alive.
Yep. Yeah, I took that tour through the house,
Yes.
and walking down the little walkway from his house, she was telling us about something that happened to him. He was walking along, and he almost collapsed, and they caught him, and they said, "What happened?" He said, "Oh, I drifted out of my body, and I forgot who I was."
Oh. Yes.
I mean, if that's even close to the truth, that gives you something to really think about as far as consciousness. Is it really locked into this body? Or is it out here in this field?
Right. Well, I loved that area so much that when it was time to do my sabbatical, I chose Encinitas. And we were fortunate to get a place right there on the ocean at Moonlight Beach.
Oh, yeah. It's all paved now, by the way.
Oh. But we could walk to the temple there, and it was so nice. I really loved that. And y-
I lived there for a little while.
did you?
Yeah, right on Highway 1
Yeah.
in La Costa. If you
Yeah.
remember, when you was there, up on that hill, they called it Hippie Hill. There were these little huts, little houses up there on the hill.
Mm-hmm.
I lived behind those houses for about 6 months. I had a Greyhound bus that I was converting over to a motorhome. This was like 1974, I guess.
Oh, my.
Our paths have sort of like bumped into each other
Yes.
unknowingly. It's strange
Right.
how that works, huh?
It is strange, yeah. Yeah, I knew I liked you right away and felt at ease with you, Rahasya.
Yeah, I still remember when I first met you.
Mm-hmm.
Was at the coffee shop at the gym, when they had that little coffee shop.
Oh, yeah?
You were having one of your art shows there.
Oh.
Yep.
Yes.
I very seldom remember the first meeting with people,
Mm-hmm.
but I remember that one.
For remembering that. Mm-hmm.
You're a little bit unforgettable. But we've been friends since the first microsecond.
I think so.
You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
I won't say it's strange, but it's out of the ordinary for me. Because right from the very first moment, I felt
Mm-hmm.
at ease with you, connected.
Oh, good. Mm-hmm. And
So, how did you and Ray meet?
Ray came, I was teaching a class for Butte, and when he walked into the room, my inner voice said, "That's going to be your next husband." And that was Ray Varlinsky. I wasn't looking for a husband, and but I got a message, and I have tended to get messages in my life like that.
Yeah, if we listen,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people don't listen.
Well, one of the classes that I so enjoyed teaching was the psychology of creativity and intuition. And that was a class that I originated for Butte. And so I really loved that. And for one thing, I wanted to be more creative. And because I hadn't started painting then. I was told as a kid I had no talent in art. So that's why I was getting my master's and doing different things like that.
How old were you when you started painting?
I think I was 42. So I definitely later life to start painting.
You're just a late bloomer.
I know. Yes.
I think a lot of people, if they give up their limitations
Mm-hmm.
and expand their potential, I think a lot of people would bloom late.
Mm-hmm.
But life has this way of putting us in a box and limiting us and telling us we can't do this, no, you're too old for that, or, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I see a lot of potential out there
Mm-hmm.
in people. I can tell they're just not doing it, you know,
Right.
for fear of failure or insecurity.
Yes. Well, I was so fortunate because a lot of what I did at Eselan was work on myself. And so I quit carrying those things where I was putting me down. I didn't do that. I boosted me up, and that's what I was teaching in my classes. I wanted people to boost themselves up, not tear themselves down.
Who did you meet at Eselan that sort of stood out in your mind?
Well, let's see. There were a lot of people. Well, Fritz Perls was there then, although, And then there was, what was his, Stan.
Stanislav Grof.
Yes.
Yeah.
And his wife, and she ended up getting sick. And so I took over her yoga classes because I've been teaching yoga for Butte College. And so that was so much fun to teach that morning yoga class.
Yeah, Stanislav, he's still out there writing books too.
Is he?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the name of it, but I just ordered the last one that he did.
Oh my. Yeah, he was very special.
Have you noticed that I know my grandparents growing up,
Mm-hmm.
they were old in their 60s, early 60s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people seemed older then, but this generation, our generation,
Mm-hmm.
we're different. You know, the age, we don't go silently into the night. You know, we rage against that darkness. We want to be vibrant and alive till the last moment, if possible. You know, I think
Yeah.
there's a different wave of humanity that came in during the 40s. And, you know,
Well, I was born in 1939.
yeah.
So the thing that I was doing with Christine and Stan Groff was their holotropic, excuse me, breath work. And so I brought it back here. And the room that we're in, I really had it built for my therapy office. And but we would have people stretched out on the floor doing the breathing, the holotropic breath work, which is the same as the rebirthing kind of breath.
It's a little more intense though, right?
I think it is, and because we have someone sitting with us, it gives more safety and more care.
Yeah, I have issues that I need to work through at some point. I don't know what I'm waiting for, but with rebirthing, heavy breathing, I can feel there's a fear. I can't identify it, but probably has something to do with my birth. You know,
Probably.
someday I'll have to work through it before I die. You know.
Well, because this was also my psychotherapy office, I did some of that work. And here, I mean, I designed the office for that.
In this room?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it wasn't here. So a wonderful friend who taught geography for Butte College, Gary Lee, ended up building this room for me over the summer.
Yeah, it has a nice open feel, you know.
It does, doesn't it?
This is where we do our meditations too.
Yes, yeah, so we still have the meditation group here.
Yeah, it's almost like there's a bit of a Buddha field in here. That's why I wanted to do the talk here.
Oh, yeah.
It's because the field here, you can feel it. There's something too. There's been a lot of good emotions in this space that have resonated into everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
So what was it, Marianna? What was the moment that you started, or was it a moment, or did it creep on slowly that you wanted to do art?
Okay. So as I said, I was told I had no talent, so it took a while. When did I get the nerve to do art? Oh, we we had a wonderful woman that lived in Paradise, and her name was Flo Burnett.
Oh yeah, I met her a couple times.
Yes,
Yeah, nice lady.
very special. So I would go to her Monday morning watercolor class before I went down to Butte to teach a class. And so I'm so grateful for her. And she was a very encouraging type teacher.
So this is one of your paintings here.
Yes.
How much of your art is natural and how much of it you think is learned technique that you had to learn how? Because I've noticed your watercolors, they don't bleed like a lot of people's watercolors do. And that's a technique all into itself. So how much of that did you have to learn, or did you find out that you just had it in you?
Well, I started doing that technique, and actually Flo didn't like that. She wanted them to bleed, but I learned to just to draw something and then wet it, and then just put the paint there, and it would bleed, but it would bleed in that area.
Right.
And what it did is it did that line, and so, and she didn't like that line.
Well,
She said it looked, what? Well, too slick or something, but I like that line myself.
so do I. Besides that, I think you are pretty slick. So it sort of matches. You know, I think that's one thing about you that I've admired and respected is you're open to ideas. But once you go inside and figure it out for yourself, what you should do, I mean, some people would call that hard-headedness or whatever.
Yeah.
But once you figure out what you want and what you want to do, you go ahead and do it. And this is a good example that that's how I think people should be. You know, as long as you're not hurting somebody else or yourself, we all have this inner guidance, you know, and you've been able to tap into that, and it's taken you down all of these paths in your life and put you in front of some pretty amazing people.
Right.
You know?
I've been very fortunate.
Yep. You know, they say that what we are, who we are, is the accumulation of everybody that we've met and loved and hated, you know. We take these beings into us. And so you're the accumulation of a lot of pretty interesting people.
Yes, I am. So, yes. So I was thinking, going to Eselan the way I did and studying with different people, I enjoyed studying with Anna Wise. She's no longer with us, but I'm not remembering what Ray's doing right now. He was with me with Anna Wise, and
What did she teach?
well, she was teaching. I don't know. We'll have to ask Ray what she was teaching. Sorry, I could have reviewed that, but I didn't, Rahasya.
Well, I'm glad you didn't review anything. Everything is perfect. And I think that's something probably you have realized about life. Every moment is perfect. Even in the moments that it seems like it's not so perfect,
Really?
you know, somehow it gets into this perfection as life plays out, you know. And I think that's important to remember as we're getting older, especially. I mean, I look in the mirror now and I have a little bump here. Where the hell did that come from, you know? And different things. I don't heal quite as fast, but that's part of life, and part of the perfection, I think, of life is embracing that. And I can see you're embracing a lot in your life right now. A lot of things are going on with the aging process and with the world around us. And we'll get into that too eventually. We can't do this without getting into Facebook a little bit. That's become a big part of your life. And some people might say too much.
Raymond.
But I know for a fact from reading your Facebook page, you've made a lot of people think. And this is difficult too, because, me now with the radio show and doing these little video things and everything, it's difficult to try to figure out a way to tell somebody something that doesn't want to hear what you have to say, because it goes too much against their comfort zone. The other day I was trying to explain to somebody about, hey, we're responsible for what goes on in this world. Right now we're doing a lot of bombing on innocent people. Yeah. He says, well, I didn't vote for that guy. I said, that doesn't let us off the hook.
No.
Just to say I didn't vote for the guy, or well, I wanted to do something else, or I protested the war. We're all in this, and we need to stay involved. And I see you doing that with the GMO foods. Yeah. And by the way, Pam Larry got a hold of us, so I'm going to be helping her out with her latest little thing that she's doing with GMO foods too.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we have to.
She was the one that really educated us all about that.
Yeah, she's deep into it. And I think one of the important things about, as long as we have a vehicle to talk to people, especially social networking, young people, and people our age, it's easy for us to forget this, but they're born into this. And it's sort of like trying to tell a fish to explain what water feels like. It doesn't even know what water is. These kids don't know what it's like. The difference between now and what was before. And that's the danger. This is a gradual thing that we've been doing. The slow unraveling of society and the brainwashing of young kids.
Oh, really?
And I think if the young kids can hear and have respect for their elders and really listen, they can get a glimmer, a taste of what it was like, for our grandmothers and grandparents to go to the cupboard and pull out a fresh bottle of peaches that they took off the trees, and and I remember in the 50s, that's when the TV dinners started coming out, and got used to it, and it just keeps going and going and going. But we can wake a lot of people up if we try, and I see you doing that with Facebook.
Well, I'm trying to, because I think what we eat is most important for our health and well-being. So it's really what I'm most interested in right now. I did teach a course for Butte College on natural foods, cooking, and nutrition. And
When was that?
that was early when I was teaching, so I would go to the kitchen up at Paradise High School that they let Butte College, they let us use that to teach. And in fact, a co-op came out of that class, which was wonderful.
Yeah, I've been to a couple of meetings with you. Like, they had one meeting at the Unitarian Church here a while back, a couple of years ago, and the people that showed up were it was about you, about some of the things you've done in your life. And Dhara and I recognized how many lives you have touched, with your teaching, with your art, with just being you. It's a nice thing to think about. you've touched a lot of lives in a lot of good ways. You know, you've supported a lot of people in their endeavors.
Thank you. Well, that's what I've always wanted to do. Because I got that message when I was just a little girl that I was going to be a teacher. So I really think of myself more of a teacher than an artist. Although I love my bold, vibrant paintings. No one has ever accused my paintings of being shy.
Right. Yeah, they are. They jump out at you.
Mm-hmm.
I know the one that you gave me,
Mm-hmm.
it's hanging in our dining room, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's strange, year by year, there's a little bit of space between the painting and the glass, and it becomes more and more dimensional, 3D, you know.
Oh.
It's so cool. That's when I realized, oh wow, this isn't like a G-clay, this is an original thing here.
Yeah. Well, I do have some of the G-clays, and a lot of people don't know what G-clays are, but those are the paintings that it is the most, really the most expensive way to get a copy of a painting.
Yeah, you can hardly tell the difference.
Right. And so when we would go on different art tours, we would see a lot of the G-clays, and people were asking thousands of dollars for them. I was surprised. But they considered that because they always say about the G-clays they'll last 100 years. And I hope that's so.
It probably does lock in the colors a little better. And plus, once you do that, you always have the digital too.
Yes.
Yeah, but these seem to be holding up pretty good.
Yes.
Is this an original or is it a G-clay?
That's a G-clay.
Yeah, see, it's hard to tell.
Right.
Yeah, it's really difficult to tell.
The original, my good friend that taught for View College at the same time I did, John Osborne, bought the original. And I didn't sell my originals. Ray didn't want me to. But I sold that one to John.
Well, I know it's a special gift to me to have
You have
An
an
original.
original. Yeah.
for my 60th birthday. Can you believe that?
You're just a kid.
Yeah, I guess so. There'll come a time when I know now, I thought I was getting old at 55,
Yes.
but now I look back and go, wow. So I'll do the same thing here at 69. In 10 years, I'll look back at 69 and go, wow,
Mm-hmm.
I wish I was 69 again.
Really? Yes, I've done that. Thank you.
So let's talk about your art a little bit. And what is it about, I know the colors are, and how they blend together and how they work out together and everything. Tell me about the colors. And what do you think the colors have to do with healing? You know, how does it make us feel? And how does that translate over to healing?
Well, one of the things is I did name my art business Love's Vibrant Art.
Right.
And I think having the vibrancy is when we're healthy, then we have a more vibrant aura. And also the rainbow. See, I taught yoga for many years, and the chakras are the rainbow. The red and the orange and the yellow and the green and the blue and the violet and then the white. And so I try to get, not try, I do, I get the rainbow in each of my paintings. Sometimes just a little bit for one color, but so I for healing. And people have said that they can feel the healing energy of my paintings too.
Yes, it's a good way to explain the left and right brain hemispheres, because this is partly technique, but it's partly talent too. And to bring those together is difficult for people sometimes. My son, he's a really good artist, but he has no technique. He has not learned the techniques of brushstrokes and color and balance and everything. And it's too bad because the talent you're born with or you're not, you know. But he could learn a lot just from learning the technique. And I think that's what you've really accomplished a lot. You found an inner spark of creativity that you were born with, and maybe it was suppressed for a lot of years.
Yeah.
But when you started coming out, realizing that there's a lot of technique involved, that's where it gets into learning and opening up, and it shows, you know. I mean, I can see any of your artwork. I can say, oh, that's Marianna Love. Yeah. There's a technique there that's identifiable.
And it's probably those edges and then the vibrant color.
Mm-hmm.
And if we really looked at that, we would find all the rainbow colors there. And the dark background there was not just black paint. I built that up by layering different colors. And so I enjoyed that. To me, just the luxury of just applying colors, just playing with colors.
Yeah, when I look at that picture, what I see is life. And I see that life, even though it grows perfectly, according to Fibonacci sequences and everything, as life takes hold, the imperfection comes out. You know, there's like little things there that aren't perfectly done, you know. And that's what life is. Life is perfectly imperfection, if that makes any sense.
Oh, yeah.
And you know you're touching upon a great truth when you can speak a paradox and it somehow is true. You can't explain it, you know, but it is. And it is what it is.
Well, that's why I used to say we're all perfectly imperfect.
Yeah. Maybe as a baby, you know, for the first 10 minutes, we're perfect. But then life steps in, you know, and we start learning imperfection. But it's that imperfection, you know, like a Persian carpet. When they weave a Persian carpet, they make it perfect. But somewhere in the carpet, there's an imperfection that they build into it.
Yes, so that it was, people know it was human done.
Yep.
That.
And with life itself, you know, whether we're random choices or mutations or whatever, there's a lot of things that happen in nature that seem random until you go down the road a ways, you know. So where do you think your life is right now, Marianna?
Well, there's one other thing I'd like to say about the color and why I think it's healing to paint, because our vitamins were discovered by their colors.
How was that?
Well, I mean, our diet is much healthier if we eat a rainbow diet.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the different nutrients have a color. And I used to know all that better than I do right at the moment. But it's exciting to Explore that.
I guess that would be because certain color foods have a dominant vitamin or mineral in it.
Oh, for sure.
And if you have a rainbow of colors in
Yeah.
your food, then you would have that spectrum of vitamins that you would need for health.
Yes, very much so. And that's why we need all of them. And that's why our agriculture now, the way they're ruining our soil. See, we need good soil, but we don't really have that anymore.
Yeah, it's the monoculture,
Mm-hmm.
GMO, pesticides.
Yeah.
But I did watch an interesting documentary called Symphony of the Soil.
Oh, yes, that's a good one.
Yeah, we can heal this. We can bring it all back.
Yes.
But we have to know what the problem is first.
Yes.
And getting people to listen
Mm-hmm.
and recognizing the fact, okay, we have a problem. You know, doesn't mean it's insurmountable, but we need to recognize the problem first. And we're amazing human beings.
We are.
You know, we're on this planet where we do all the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we developed concertos and symphonies and artwork.
Mhm.
And at the same time, there's people out there doing horrendous things. We're all over the map. But it seems like as we put consciousness
Mm-hmm.
on things, bring it out of the darkness,
Right.
whether it's GMO foods or human trafficking,
Mm-hmm.
any of this stuff that we don't necessarily like to look at, but I can tell it all changes when the light of consciousness is put on it. You know, and I think that's people like your job, you know, to put the light of consciousness on some of these, because the more you can do it,
Mm-hmm.
the first few times it's sort of uncomfortable for people, you know,
Right.
but the more they hear it, the more they go, oh, okay, you know,
Mm-hmm.
we need to start dealing with this.
Right. Yes. I think so. So I'm proud of my granddaughter, Lillian Adams Love, because she has wanted to help young people that have been trafficked.
Yeah.
I mean, she has that social worker's heart and spirit.
Yeah, I just did one of my little questioning our answers, little 9 or 10 minute video clips. And it's including the human trafficking, sex slavery. I mean, there's over 1 million people that go missing every year. And I mean missing. You know, gone. I mean, nobody knows what happened to them. And that's only the million that we know about.
Right.
You know, a lot of kids aren't even reported. You know,
Yeah, that's true.
but the more light we can put on it, and again, it's like the Wizard of Oz. You know, Wizard of Oz is a really entertaining, really great movie. They're on the road, but all through the movie, there's fear of the wizard. You know, there's fear of him, and it's making everybody, bringing out all this stuff in them. They finally get to the land of Oz, and when they pull back the curtain and realize it's just some frail old sociopathic old man, the fear is gone. And at that point in that movie, everything changes. And I think that's what we're seeing on the planet today. People like you're pulling back the curtain, whether they like it or not. You know, pulling back the curtain on some of the things that are going on. And the more people that look at it, it feeds into the grid of consciousness, and it feeds back down into everybody. You know, everybody that's not even paying attention has a little bit different perspective. They might see it as, I guess I'm just changing my mind, but their mind is changing because of people waking up and people putting more consciousness into the grid.
Right. Which is what we want. We want to wake up, and we want to help other people wake up.
Yeah, because that's part of waking up. You know, I mean, in dream, if you and I are in the same dream, and I really think I'm me, and you really think you're you. But we start waking up and realizing that we're one consciousness. The first thing we're going to do is go around to the other characters and go, hey, we're all part of this one consciousness, this one mind. And everything changes at that point. Even though we're not awake, realizing that you're in a dream and sleeping.
Right.
That's the beginning of lucid dreaming. And now we're in the beginning of lucid living. You know, we are living a lucid life where we're realizing that we're asleep, but that's the beginning of waking up.
Which is reminding me of another class that I taught that I really, really enjoyed. And that was the psychology of sleep and dreams. And so I started taking extra vitamin B6 so I would remember my dreams if I'm teaching this class.
Vitamin B6 helps.
To remember the dream. Plus having the notebook and the pen by your bed.
Right.
And even if you don't think you remember, just to do some free pages and things will come out of that. So it was a technique a lot of artists use too. Just when we first get up, or wake up, just to write, free write, and see what's there.
Well, a lot of inspirational things that have changed our world
Right.
has come to people in their dreams. Like
Right.
that's the reason we know about the benzene ring.
Yeah.
Crick, you know,
Yes.
he was actually taking LSD every Friday.
Was
But
he?
yeah, a lot of what he was coming up with the DNA and the strands and everything was coming to him in dreams and altered states of consciousness.
And he was somebody when I was living in Encinitas that I got to know.
Really?
Francis Crick. I hadn't thought of him in a little while. But I had a good friend that worked with him, and she took me over there to meet him. And so we really enjoyed each other. I've
Yeah.
been so fortunate. And see, knowing you too, I can say, oh, I know Rahasya Poe.
And I can say, I know Marianna Love. I feel totally blessed to be part of your life, Marianna.
And you are a blessing in my life. You and Dhara have been such wonderful blessings. Thank you. Thank you.
It's nice sharing this journey with you. And we probably started sharing this journey at the right time, you know, when we're both a little bit adults.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
Rahasya.
Well, you know, let's talk about Lily for a second. Because I've watched Lily grow up.
Yeah.
I remember she did the peanut butter commercial for me one time. I was going, my God, this little girl has some energy, you know?
Yes.
And then some years
Charisma.
some years went by, and I could tell at that point in her life, she could have gone a couple of different ways, you know, which we all can, you know. But the next time I met her, Dhara and I thought, wow, you know, the influences that she's had or whatever it is, something, a guidance system within her, took her off on this amazing direction in life. You know, she's going to be an incredible person. You know,
Yes.
wonder where she gets that from.
She just turned 21.
Man,
Think of that.
seems like just yesterday, her and Amanda was playing down in the creek. You know,
Yes.
we used to take them to the creek playing together.
that was so sweet of you, and she liked Amanda too.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So what's she doing now?
Well, she's living in Washington, and she's going to school. She's going to, it's really a good school. It's more of an alternative school. And today she left for Maui for only 5 days. Her man friend gave her that as a birthday present.
That's nice.
Hmm. So,
And she went to where, Tibet or someplace?
yes, she was in Tibet, right.
Yeah, I was a little bit concerned about her being there, but she came back safe and sound.
Well, I was concerned about her too, and she had problems with her back, and so this young man that she is with wants to be a chiropractor for one thing, but he started carrying her bags and all, because things like that were hard for her.
Yeah, that's when Dhara and I first met. I was carrying her bags for her. Took a bunch of vitamins down there. I guess this is what men do.
Yes,
At least we should be doing it.
yes, really.
So tell me a little bit about your brothers. Was Charles and...
Charles is my oldest brother, and he just went through the hurricane in
Yeah.
Florida.
Yeah, I've been watching that. It's been horrific.
Right, so I was watching that too, but he and his wife Peggy, they have a wonderful marriage and family, and they did all right. And so they weren't in the worst of it. And then my youngest brother, Bill, died about 4 years ago of Parkinson's disease. And where we grew up, there was a lot of, what I want to say, pollutants.
Right.
Yeah, I'm afraid to say that. I hate to say that.
Yeah, I know people that's grown up in some of the almond groves around here.
Mm-hmm.
It's having respiratory problems, cancer. It's from the spraying.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yep. You would think living in the middle of a grove would be the idealistic way to grow up and healthy,
Right.
but it's not so much anymore.
No, and particularly, yes, with the GMOs, one of the reasons they promote them is then they can spray the bejesus out of them. And that's not good for us or the planet or the soil.
So Charles has always been sort of a big brother, huh?
A big brother. He
Yeah.
was my big brother. I remember when we were I used to follow him around, and I got to be on the football team and all. And there's stories of us being in Florida, tilting the lifeguard stand over because we were climbing. But because of Charles, I was more of a tomboy at that time. And so I'm been grateful.
Did he watch out for you?
Yes, he told me, he said, I am the second toughest boy in school, and my best friend is the toughest. And so if anyone messes with you, you just tell them you're going to tell your big brother Charles.
Well, that's a good thing to fall back on.
Yes.
Yep.
And I have. Right. He's been, everyone needs a big brother, Charles.
Yeah, I haven't been able to meet him yet, but I've heard a lot of good things about him.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he's very special.
Yeah. So how many grandkids do you have now?
Well, let me think. I have to count them up. I have Scott was our first, and that his dad is Bill, my oldest son, and then was Lily, I guess, was the second. We haven't had a lot of grandchildren. I hope, oh, Kelly. See, I haven't gotten to see Kelly that much, but she's getting ready to get married, and that is Bill's daughter, and she's a lovely girl. She's really beautiful.
She back east also?
Yes, she is. So I don't get to see her very much. And I was flying back for a lot of family events, but my health isn't as good as I would like it, and so I'm really not traveling much.
And the planes aren't as good either.
No.
I mean, they keep moving the seats closer and closer, and they're getting older. You know, they're getting older.
Yes. And they're spraying them too. And
Yeah. And I don't know why they don't recirculate the air through really good HEPA filters.
yes,
That doesn't make sense to me.
right. And since I don't like to eat GMO food, I don't want them to serve me their food and
Yeah, we always make our own sandwich anyway.
to
Whenever we
take.
travel.
That's good.
So Marianna, and this is something that I think we learn not to do in our life, but if you were to look back and you were to pick out a few things that you wish you could change, is there anything that stands out that you wish you could change?
Well, I wish I had been a better mother. I was really interested in my career, and I gave that maybe more attention than I should have. So,
Well, I think I can feel it. I think just you saying that, you just made up for it. You know? Yeah, I wish I could have been a better dad. Even when I was there, I wasn't present, you know. I always had a roof over the head, I always had food,
right.
but, yeah, it could have been. But what is a better dad and a better mom, you know?
Right.
It's really difficult because I've seen really good parents, and the kids end up rebelling against them, you know? But they're the epitome of what a parent should be. But somehow a kid has to go through a little bit of uneasiness and unsureness because whatever they went through with you, that was preparation for life.
Right.
You know, because wait till they get out in life. You know, so I think it's a microcosm that we create when we're parents. And let's face it, you know, I like what Kahil Javan said once. He says, your children do not belong to you. They come through you. But they do not belong to you. You know, and our children come through us. We watch over them, try to keep them safe. But I think we all do the best we can. And I think at some point our kids recognize that. And when they recognize it is when they have kids.
Yes.
You know, my kids are recognizing that now. Everything that they had to say about me, they've lost moral ground, you know, because now they know it's tough being a parent and living your life and fulfilling your own dreams because, you know, this is your life, you know. This is your life. And I think we all realize that at some point that if we want something out of life, we can't do everything perfectly, you know. But I hear you. I see what you mean about that. If if I could do it over again, would I do it differently? Probably, I'd try, but I'd probably make different kinds of mistakes, you know?
Yes, I did take them to the library regularly.
Oh, we'll see.
I've always loved the library, and I think having a love of reading is a big thing.
Yeah, and the libraries are slowly going out of phase, you know, it's with the internet now. Yeah, I didn't take my kids to the library. If I had a regret about my kids, you know what it would be?
What's that?
My daughter joined the baseball team, Little League. I think she was 10 or 11, something like that. I never went to one game.
Oh,
Right? And there was chances to do that. But I had phone calls, or I had some kind of person to meet, or, you know. I think if I could change one little thing, it would have been that.
yeah.
I still have a picture of her in her uniform. It's in my desk underneath the glass there.
She's so cute anyway.
Yeah, she turned out pretty good, in spite of me. She's turned out pretty good, and my son Jason, he's doing his best, you know.
That's huge.
Was your dad a big part of your life?
Oh, I adored my dad.
Yeah.
I used to, well, my favorite picture is when I'm 2 years old and I'm sitting on his lap.
Yeah.
And then when I was 13, I got to be the sweetheart of the Valentine ball. And so I went over, I spent the night with a girlfriend, and we went over, and my dad was there. And I have a picture of him where I have on one of those fluffy white dresses with all the crinolines, the old South look.
Right.
And so I still have that picture. And he adored the children. He always took them to the park and to play on the swings and the slide. And he was just so proud that I had my children so young, because I was married right when I turned 19, and I was still 19 when Bill was born. I didn't have to get married that I know of, but they just came, these children.
How long did that marriage last?
It's hard for me to remember that marriage. I do remember it.
Isn't that strange? I know I think about my first wife, you know. When I think about it, it's almost like I'm thinking about somebody else's life,
Yes.
you know. And when I talk about it, it's so disconnected with me now that I have the same feeling that I would have if I wasn't being truthful, you know. Because I'm talking about it like that was me, but I'm so much not that me that I feel like I'm not being truthful, but I am.
Yes. So, and Marie and I have been married 37 years, as he reminds me, which is amazing.
What a journey this has been for both of you, huh?
Yes. So, right.
So tell me about myself. I think relationships are a blessing, but they're also like a 24/7 workshop too. You know, I am constantly needing to look at myself, and she constantly tries to look at herself, and we try to work out all it, because having a relationship and sharing a path together, and two people want different things sometimes, and working it out, it forces you to be more open and less crystallized with your personality
Mm-hmm.
and less fixed, you know,
Mm-hmm. More flexible.
flexible.
Mm-hmm.
Without feeling like you're giving in or losing or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, untrue to yourself. Just flexible, because most of the stuff we go through is our ego and our crazy thinking mind, you know.
Yes.
You probably don't know about that, though, right? Yeah, it's relationships can be the greatest tool we have, I think, for evolution of our mind and our life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. When I look at the relationships that I've had, so I was in California after I got here in 1964. It was a time where people were having a lot of different relationships. And I didn't right away. In fact, I was pregnant pretty soon with Carrie. And she was born in San Francisco. Now, where was I going with that story? I know someplace there.
Well, relationships, the openness of that time period, too.
Yes.
There was, I mean, it's free love, and everything was a lot different then.
Yes.
You know, we didn't have to worry so much about sexually transmitted diseases. And
No.
we should have, but,
Mm-hmm.
you know, those
Right.
days were, they came and went.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There she is. There's that beauty.
Here comes Dhara. Here, Dhara, why don't you have a seat here and talk with Marianna for a little bit?
Oh, I was not expect that. I just came to say that in 15 minutes we're gonna have dinner.
In 50.
15 minutes.
Oh, good. 15 sounds better than
Yes.
50.
We're pretty much at the end of everything right now.
Uh-huh.
So I think right now, if you were to look back at your life, and how do you feel about it right now, at this point in your life? How everything has come into this point?
I feel a lot of gratitude, and I have been blessed, and I've been able to do a lot that I wanted to do, and to travel and everything. So I even
I think gratitude is important.
mm-hmm.
You know, like hidden messages in water. One of the best things that they found was gratitude and love
Mm-hmm.
for the crystallization of water, and we're mostly water. And I always try to find something to be grateful for every day.
Yes.
You know, something. There's always something.
I used to keep that gratitude journal. I don't do that now, but that's a good way to keep the gratitude coming in.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. So you guys talk about the art.
We did talk about it.
This picture here, this especially this one here for me, it's your mark. It's the bigger mark for me. This
Mhm.
one.
You like it
Yes.
better? Mhm.
Not as better, but that is something. It's like
It's a good
represents
Yeah, it's a good
your
representation.
art,
Mhm.
you know? Yes. And so you wanna tell a little bit about this one?
Well, I think I might have told a little bit about it, but what I mentioned is the rainbow. I would put the rainbow in each of my pictures.
Uh-huh.
I know you don't see the blue quite as much, but you'll see
Yes, I
different,
can see it, yeah.
different, because of the healing power of color.
Yes. Yeah. So I have a question.
Okay.
Why do you like so much purple? And when did you start to use purple? If, more or less, you know.
Okay. I guess after I've been teaching yoga for a while, I was telling Rahasya, I used to teach the chakras.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So the third eye awakening color.
Right.
Yes.
So, and then it just became my favorite color. And before I knew it, everything I had seemed to be either purple or white. I wore a lot of white too.
And you have always your white
Mhm.
veil. It's like
Yes.
such a beautiful hair you have there.
Thank you. Right.
So,
It's a pleasure and honor for us to be your friend. And I remember when we met each other,
Mm-hmm.
you know, lots of people was telling us, you need to meet Marianna Love. And then we went to this,
it was the coffee shop.
it was a
That-
coffee shop and had lots going on, and was this book, the guy with a book. And so it was like busy, and here she comes, Marianna Love. And then we introduced ourselves to you, and
It's been like 13 years ago about.
yes,
That's amazing.
it's amazing, yeah.
Look what all you two have done. I mean, you came in new to the area, and now with the Lotus Guide and your newspaper, and you're very influential in this area.
And we have the best people to help us, like yourself, Donald Payne, you know, and
Yeah.
many others, you know.
Right.
Dr. Gill, Dr. Gill helped a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so with these key people that I knew so many people.
Mm-hmm.
And what I like in this area is 2 degrees separation instead of 6, like other place. Everybody knows everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So Marianna, I think we're all getting a little bit hungry. Seems like you're getting a little bit hungry, but I'd like to ask you this. There was a letter that this lady wrote one time. She was like 90-something years old. And she wrote a letter to her granddaughter, I believe. And when the granddaughter read it, it meant so much. And in the letter, she said that she was talking about things that she wished she would have done. She said, I wish I would have ate more ice cream and less beans. I wish I would have walked in the park barefoot more. But most of all, I wish I would have made more mistakes, because looking back, it's when I made mistakes that was my greatest learning. So if you were to say something to your great-grandkids or your great-great-grandkids, knowing that you know a little bit about the world that they're growing up in, what would you like to say to them? Just take your time.
I was thinking, I used to have an affirmation about that, and I was letting it come up. But the one that's coming up instead is, I'm powerfully loving and lovingly powerful.
Oh, I like that. Let's say that again.
I am powerfully loving and lovingly powerful.
Yeah, because one without the other
Mhm.
is sort of lopsided.
Mhm.
I like that.
Well, we used a lot of affirmations in the classes. And I still wake up with them. Do you ever wake up with affirmations?
hmm
Mm-hmm.
Mostly just
Going to sleep with it.
I think that's good. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm just at this point in my life, being at the age I am, I'm thankful I wake up.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for the day usually when I wake up.
Usually I'm awake, I'm happy when I
Mhm.
wake up. But I try to be conscious when I'm going to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And watching, if I'm watching something before I go to sleep, something that is peaceful
Yeah.
and don't engage my mind too much,
Mm-hmm.
so I can fall asleep like a baby.
That's good of you.
Go out of the brain
Mhm.
chatter down to the heart, center myself more.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that it is, sometimes it's a TV show, sometimes it's a documentary, sometimes it's just sitting there listening to the crickets outside the window, whatever it is. Yeah.
So you prepare yourself
To
for
sleep. And then most likely I'm going to wake up that way
Mm-hmm.
and have better dreams.
And you're remembering your dream.
Sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you?
I had to take extra B6 to remember my dream.
You used to teach a dream class, didn't
Yes,
you?
I did.
Yeah.
So it was that was good for me to teach it because dreams became much more significant.
Yeah.
And people really liked the dream class.
Yeah. You know, one thing that I learned was that dreams, we dream in 7 bodies, all the 7 chakras.
Okay.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and they sometimes mixed with each other. So you dream a physical body
Mm-hmm.
or the second, third body together,
Mm-hmm.
and each one has their own ability,
Mm-hmm.
quality. You know, the second body, you can see what's happening
Mm-hmm.
to beloved one when you're dreaming in the moment, but not in the past, not in the future, and go on so forth. And sometimes they mix all together. So dreaming can tell you some stories.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
There's a guidance there for us in dreams.
Do you ever do what we used to call the artist pages, where when you wake up you just write?
Very little.
Mm-hmm.
I tried that a little bit, periods, but I never really could stay with it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Maybe it's a good memory. Thank you. I should start that again.
Well, maybe you don't need to. If you're remembering your dreams well.
Sometime I do, sometime I don't. My dreams sometimes I remember in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I know the feeling of it, but I cannot tell anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when I put in words, it doesn't really do the, how you say that, it changed the meaning.
Yeah, I remember my dreams for about 15 seconds, but they're like a smoke ring. And the more I try to grab them, it just breaks it all up. And then I can't even remember what it was.
Right.
I guess that's where writing it down, even in symbols or something,
Right.
would help.
That's why having that notebook and pen and doing it immediately.
Yeah,
if you can.
immediately.
Yeah.
And what's funny is I always think I'm going to remember this the next morning.
Mhm.
Seems like after so many years, I would.
We forgot that we forgot. All right. Do you have like a last thing that you want to say to us, to anybody that is listening to?
Well, I think life is quite a gift, and we don't always feel that way when things are challenging, and but it is a gift, and that's why as long as we keep our hearts alive and our gratitude alive, so then we can be the powerfully loving and lovingly powerful.
Yes. Well put.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Very
good.
nice.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you,
Thank you
sweethearts.
very much.
You're wonderful friends. Love you both dearly.
The feeling is mutual.
Yes. Thank you for being our friends.
Oh, the sun shines bright on my old Kentucky home. 'Tis summer, the old folks are gay. Well, the corn tops ripe and the meadows in the bloom, while the birds make music all the day. Weep no more, my lady, or weep no more today. We sing one song for my old Kentucky home, for my old Kentucky home far away. Where the young folks roll all around the cabin floor, they're merry, all happy and bright. By and by hard times will come knocking at my door, then my old Kentucky home, good night. Weep no more, my lady, nor weep no more today. We sing one song for my old Kentucky home, for my old Kentucky home far away. Weep no more, my lady, oh, weep no more today. We sing one song for my old Kentucky home, for my old Kentucky home far away. For my old Kentucky home far away.